Do you have a history of high cholesterol whenever you get blood drawn at your yearly physical? Have you tried diet and exercise and it hasn't lowered it or hasn't lowered it enough? Well, assuming that you actually truly have high cholesterol and truly need it to be lowered, then today we're going to talk about one reason that it may be high that I guarantee your general practitioner will never address. I'm Dr. John Bartemus, and I'm putting the pieces together to help you live a life at optimal. I've covered cholesterol many times on my YouTube channel, and I encourage you to go back and search cholesterol on my channel and watch those videos. And one thing you may be familiar with is that oftentimes, or just about everybody in the US is told their cholesterol is too high and they should be on a statin drug. After all, statin drugs are the highest selling class of drugs of all time. Well, earlier I said, assuming your cholesterol is actually high and needs to come down, that's what we want to address today. So we've already ruled out people who are being told their cholesterol is too high because the medical model says you're higher than their standard of 200 or less. Well, just about everyone's higher than 200 or less. And if you go back to the 90s, it was 220 or less, and to the 80s, it was even higher than that or less. So they've continued to narrow the window of what's normal. And so the more narrow the window, the more people that fall outside it, and the higher the market for the statin drugs. So we want to talk about people whose cholesterol is truly too high and truly needs to be addressed. Those people are typically above 271 in total cholesterol. True research that is unbiased and not promoting statin drugs shows that the optimal level of total cholesterol is between 180 and 271 with a sweet spot around 232. That would be lab high on every single lab test in the country, and you'd be told you need a statin by every medical doctor in the country. But if we're using this healthy range, then we want to say people with truly high cholesterol in a general sense is going to be 271 or higher. Well, if that's you and you've tried diet and you've tried exercise and it hasn't been sufficient to bring it down to where we want to see it, then one cause that no medical doctor is considering that may be driving up your total cholesterol is your toxic load, specifically with PCBs or polychlorinated biphenyls. These are ubiquitous in our environment. Even though they were banned in 1979, they're still found in many things in our environment, from light ballasts to electronic equipment to gasolines and oils. So you can still be picking them up. And PCBs and other toxins as well elevate cholesterol. So your lipid panel may be high due to your toxic load, not because of your diet and not because of your genetics. Along with total cholesterol, LDL will go up because PCBs will oxidize LDL, and oxidized LDL is the form of cholesterol that is associated with vascular damage and cardiovascular risk. So your risk and your health may be being affected by high toxic load due to high PCB levels, causing your cholesterol to be high, and a statin drug is not going to lower your PCB levels, and diet and exercise won't necessarily lower them enough in and of themselves if you're not specifically doing targeted strategies there against the toxins. So if you have high cholesterol and it's repeatedly high every year when you get tested and they want you on the drug and diet and exercise hasn't been enough and they're only blaming your genetics, but you haven't investigated toxic load, then that is where you want to look next and take action if your toxic load is high and see if decreasing your toxic load also decreases your total cholesterol. How do you do that? You need to work with a functional medicine practitioner that understands these things, knows how to address these things, and that way you can get the answer you need and achieve a life at optimal.